Hey guys, Ian here, Nolo Designs. I'm gonna be putting the catalytic converter skid plate on the truck today. I know I get a lot of questions on the installation of it, and so today we're gonna do a brief, hopefully complete installation video on how to put it onto a truck that has a subframe drop. In this case, I have the Traxxas 3.5-inch kit on my truck, and so we're gonna go through some of the hardware. All right, guys. This is our mid skid. If you have a subframe drop, you're going to be reusing some hardware that comes with the Traxxas kit. That's going to be for these two wings here and here, and then we're going to reuse the factory bolts here, here, and here. And we're going to use those bolts just to mount up the mid skid. Let me go grab what you would have hardware wise if you did not have the subframe drop. Alright, we're back. So if you don't have a subframe drop, you're going to receive these little chassis tabs that I'll show you where they go here in the video in a second. This is going to replace the provided hardware that you probably already have installed on your truck. So if you have a factory truck, no lift, anything up to 2 inches, you don't have a subframe drop, this is going to come in the kit. It's going to have an M. It's going to have an M written on the bag, because that way you know it's for your mid skid. And this is the part. Moving on, you get your catalytic converter shield. This is 1/8 inch stainless. This is 1/4 inch aluminum. We provide bolts, carriage bolts for that, and then there is a bolt and spacer for the rear arm there. So all this stuff comes in the kit, and you'll be able to bolt it up no problem. So now we're going to get under the truck, and I'll show you all these mounting points. Okay, so now that we're under the ridgeline, you'll so this whole area here is going to have this really thin tin shield that you're going to have to take off. In order to take it off, there is a press pin in this hole here. There's a press pin, can't see in the camera, over here. I can't quite reach. And then there are 3 10mm bolts that are stamped in here from the factory. And so what you'll do is just unbolt those 3 factory bolts. You want to keep them, those are the ones I showed you earlier. And then you'll have this hole here you have to figure out what to do with. So you'll see here on my truck, this is one of the subframe drop pucks that comes with the Traxxas kit, and they made a little arm come over here, and this is where the plate bolts in. If you don't have that and you have a factory setup, try to do this with one hand here, there we go. It always helps put a piece of tape around this inside out, and sticky side out essentially. So wrap just the piece of metal in there and push the carriage bolt through to hold it in place. And then this whole mass, don't put the nut on it. The nut's just there in this picture. So, but the whole thing will fit inside. You know what? I don't like this. I'll be right back. I'm going to take this nut off and try to show you guys what it looks like. All right, we're back. I've taken the nut off, and so you really don't, I don't have tape on here, but this will go up inside the frame like so. I know it seems unbelievable that it would ever go in there, but it does. And you put it, just feed it up through here, and it'll go. And especially if you have the whole thing taped together, it'll fit. So you want to feed it up through, and then this stud is going to come back out through this hole back here. You can see my finger pointing to it. It's going to come out through that hole, and it does work, and it'll hold okay. So that's been a point of struggle for some people, and it may not be clear in the instructions. So yeah, wrap some tape around this thing inside out, just the piece of metal by itself. Push your carriage bolt through, that'll hold it all together for you, and then feed it up in this slot, and then you'll have the tab sticking down through. I don't have that because I have the subframe puck here. So either way, hopefully that helps clarify how that part gets installed. And so now I'm going to go ahead and start by putting the mid skid into place. Alright, so in order to do the install, you're going to want to have your 10mm wrench from when you took this panel off in the first place, and then you're going to need, well, that's it actually. You'll just need a 10mm. If you have a subframe drop kit, the Traxta kit comes with a 10mm bolt and nut, so you'll need that, an open end or box end for that as well. But so to get the process started here, just grab one of your factory bolts and washers here, spin this guy around, get this, let's start at the middle. That just personally feels like the good spot to start for me, so that's what I'm going to do. That started, hopefully. Not sure what I'm missing. Alright, so get the middle one started, and I'm just going to go across the front here, grab another one, get it lined up. There we go. Make sure this feeds in nicely. It is. That one. I think I misplaced one. Common problem. See, it happens to everybody. Oh, here it is. Just for frame of reference, in case you guys are all wondering about how high does your truck sit, if you have a Traxta 3.5-inch kit with a set of 32-inch tires, as you can see, the truck's still on the ground, and I'm under it working on it. There is no, I don't have anything else, no lift or anything. I'm not up on ramps. If you had a factory truck, you would certainly want to put this up on ramps. We do try to make sure that all of our installations are simple enough to be done in your driveway. You're not sitting here fighting with a bunch of tools, needing special tools or nut certs or stuff like that. Just try to keep it simple. So, alright, so before I fully tighten these down, I've still got a little bit of room here, a little bit of wiggle room. I think I might have snug that one, but we get the, yeah, there we go. We're going to install the pieces from Traxta. At least I think I am. Maybe I won't be. I don't know. There we go. I like to get all of the hardware started and then come back and tighten it all down. I don't like to just snug up one bolt and go. You're gonna get out of alignment. There's a lot of pieces that are under here that we have to keep lined up, and so this is just a really easy way to keep it all straight. So now that I have those started, let me go ahead and, these are M6 bolts, hold this plate on. So You don't need to get carried away with the torque. Most of them 6 bolts are only looking at maybe 10 to 12 foot-pounds. So notice I'm pretty well necked up on this. I'm just snugging it down. Same goes for the bolts up here on the, we'll call them wings for the sake of this conversation. That slide over here. It's a little trickier to do this one because it's completely above my head, but it'll work. All right, and so that is your mid skid. This is a great way to protect your PTU if you find yourself going off of like a step object or something like that that you'd find on the trail. If you go off like a shelf or anything like that, when your suspension compresses in the front, this is the first thing that's going to hit the ground. So it's nice to see this steel tab is made heavy. This 1/4 inch aluminum is going to put up a really good fight for anything like that. I know you guys probably aren't too worried about that if you're looking at this for the catalytic converter protection specifically, but it's the reason why we kind of built this whole system the way we did, just to give you nice durable stuff in the process. So let's go reposition the camera and get the catalytic converter skid, and we'll get it onto the truck next. Something to note, you'll want to take out this 10mm factory bolt. We provide a replacement for it, but you want to take that out before you try to install your catalytic converter shield. Okay, back under the truck, got our catalytic shield, got our carriage bolts, our flange nuts, and so since I have the subframe drop on this truck, skid plate is going to get installed in this orientation. It's going to go over top. If you have a stock truck, 0 to 2 inches of lift, you're actually going to install it underneath. You'll see that in the installation instructions, but just wanted to make note that that is how that is to go. Feed up these carriage bolts up through here. Can angle my hand around. You can hear them smashing my way through this, but making it happen. Get this bolt to start, we'll be in business. Nut rather. Alright, well, in an effort to make sure that it's not easily removed by a thief, it's also kind of difficult to install, so I'm going to pull that back out and make a second attempt here. Maybe what would be the best way to do this, admittedly guys, I only install these a handful of times during prototyping. I don't do this all the time, so trying to install it for you in the videos, sometimes not always giving you the best information, admittedly. Trying to make sure that's not the case, but I've only done this install myself a couple times, so I think we'll afford a little grace there and we'll just do it. So because I am mounting this on So because the fact that I'm mounting this plate on top of this, I think mounting the rear bolt's actually going to make it easier, because then it can just hang here. You're not trying to hold it with, you frees up a hand. So I would do that. If you're going underneath, I would still recommend trying to maybe run through, and it'll support itself. Hold the plate up that way too. That might work out well. This is much simpler now. I am reusing the hardware from the original prototype plate that I had on the truck. It's still holding in there pretty good. I live in a very salty northeastern climate, so could be something to think about. If you wanted to throw a little bit of oil, or well, not really oil, but a little bit of grease on something, that's never going to hurt anything. It's just going to make it easier when you go to service it in the future. So yeah, something to think about. All right, well, I've got this one started. My fingers, I can feel it. It's good to go. So mess with that a little bit more. Definitely do this with the vehicle cold. Do not try to install this with the exhaust hot. You're gonna burn your hand like crazy. So that is just something to keep in mind. I'll let that hang there. We'll go ahead and snug this guy down. These are an M10 carriage bolt, so you can put more torque on them. I believe I call out approximately 30 foot-pounds in the installation instructions. Trying to get this thing fully installed here before I run out of memory on the camera. There we go, that's tight. This is good. Let's go this way. On this one. Come on. Looks like I'll be doing this with my bare hand. It might be faster. Okay, so I've got, this is tight, and go from there. I'll show you guys around what it looks like fully installed. Alright guys, we're back. I had to clean off my memory card to come back and finish this, but we're gonna just take a look at what the catalytic converter skid plate, so we've got the mid skid and the cat skid installed. So that whole catalytic converter kit is now installed on the truck, and I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. So this is from the driver's side. We got, like I said, this is reusing parts from the Traxta kit. We've got the mid skid. You gotta tap it and bang on it just to prove that it's mounted to your vehicle. Have a lip here to help keep this from getting caught if you are drifting backwards or something like that from an off-road perspective. That's why these are here on both of those. You've got a little tiny extra tab we added in here to try to just make this harder to get into and get in and cut. This stainless is extremely hard to cut. If you know anything about stainless, it's also mounted back up in here. So I have had some feedback that hopefully you guys can see this heat shield and this, they're very close together. If you have a kind of a stock truck, I'm hoping this is showing up well on the camera, but if you have a stock truck, you may need to flex that heat shield out of the way just a little bit, but that's not going to be a big deal. And then that's really it. Some people have asked me why it only has these 3 points of contact. If you've ever tried to cut anything that's not that has room to flex, so if somebody came in here and tried to cut at this, it's going to vibrate a little bit, and so it's going to make it harder to cut. Just some basic simple things like that. Parts stay on really well. I think it looks nice. You get good airflow to your catalytic converter still, and yeah, that is this thing fully installed on the truck. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and try and answer them the best I can. You guys give me a call or send us an email or comment below. I forget, I'm supposed to tell people to do that because it's the internet. So that concludes the catalytic converter skid plate kit install. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, comment below. Let me know what you think. As always, we're always open to taking feedback on things and trying to work them into designs and make everything the best that we can for you in the future. So let me know. And until the next time, you guys have a great one. Take it easy. Bye.